Hi, welcome to the CIDCI online Salon series. I'm Margie O'Driscoll, and on behalf of the CIDCI Board of Directors, I'd like to welcome you here today. CIDCI is a not-for-profit organization that relies on your financial support to provide these programs. Thank you to our sponsors who make all of this possible. CIDCI is a catalyst to improve the built environment and inspire innovation. Our mission is to facilitate the exchange of ideas, knowledge, and insights to address challenges and opportunities in our industry. Over the last few months, our hardworking board of directors has developed a set of values to guide our work that we'd like to share with you. We strive to accelerate creativity and awareness of new ideas. We seek diverse voices to create better outcomes for all. We adhere to a moral ethos with sensitivity to all beings, and we are resilient and focus on meaningful impact. CIDCI is also preparing for our annual fall forum that begins in just 10 days. Over 5 days, we will offer sessions that challenge you to explore how we might inspire innovation in a re-emerging world. We will explore a variety of topics, including the history of the future, the role that failure plays in innovation, and startups changing the world. These events are free and open to all, but pre-registration is required. Details on our website, cidci.org. Okay, here's a bit of information about how today's session will work. We're recording this presentation and we'll place it on the CIDCI website as soon as possible. If you have questions or comments during the presentation, please use the chat box. Today's session will run for 60 minutes. Today, we will explore a really interesting question. What can Lloyds of London teach the construction industry about transformation, innovation, and resilience? Started in a coffee house 330 years ago, Lloyds has become the world's oldest and most established global insurance platform. Our speaker is Pascal Ray, joining us from his home in Texas. Pascal has over 30 years of experience in insurance, including risk management, underwriting, marketing, thought leadership, sales, team building, training, and all aspects of international insurance transactions, up to and including reinsurance, retrocessions, and foreign fronting arrangements. I'm not quite sure what any of those things are, but sounds super cool, Pascal. We're so delighted you're joining us today. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. First of all, I'd like to say this is not about insurance. I am not a salesperson at all. I couldn't sell a dog a bone, so nobody's trying to sell you anything. This is a cross-spectrum analysis, a cross-spectrum opinion on something that could be good for the global design and construction industry. I started my journey about 2 years ago, very, very frustrated with the marketplace, very frustrated with the broken models and the inefficiencies in the industry. Started with the blank sheet of paper and spent a couple of years. COVID happened during this period of time, but spent a couple of months in London and have interviewed hundreds of companies, hundreds of people, project managers, engineers, CEOs, on how to solve problems in the industry, and I've come up with some solutions that I think are relevant to the design and construction industry. Okay, so the key takeaway, and this is not going to be a technical presentation. It's very, very simple. The key takeaway is the business model is everything. The business model is the key to innovation and success. It starts from the top down, and without the C-suite and senior management buy-in, we're going to have problems. We've got to change the business models, and so that's the premise of this entire presentation. And technology is the enabler, and technology plays a big part in what I'm going to be talking about today. But it is a means to an end. Right. So if you have broken business models, throwing technology at it is not going to fix it. It's just going to make the poor performance more efficient. So we're talking about changing business models in a fundamental way, and then applying a lot of technology to help solve some of the issues within the design and construction industry. Okay, so for background, there was a presentation done earlier on platforms. I would highly recommend you go and review that. This conversation that we're having is about a new type of platform. It's instead of a software for service type platform, this is a market as a service type platform. I don't think anything like this exists in the construction industry. So it would be a great primer to go and see that salon. It's excellent. Also, Pete Dumont of Prairie Dog did a presentation last year on OS2. And this is sort of where the things I'm going to be talking about today, we're working on with Prairie Dog and OS2. So it's a work in progress. And so the things I'm talking about today are being implemented. We are working on this. And so it may be useful also to go and look at Pete's excellent salon. Okay, so what the hell does a coffee house have to do with the design and construction industry, right? I promise I'm going to make it relevant. Lloyd started in 1688 as a coffee house. Okay, and it catered to the shipping industry and the cargo interests, and anybody having anything to do with ships, manufacturing, cargo, moving cargo, that type of thing. Lloyd's catered to that group of clientele. Coffee and tea had arrived in the UK and in London about 20 years earlier. And coffee, there were about 40 coffee and tea houses in the city, and each one catered to a different group of clientele. Lloyd's Coffee House catered to the shipping industry. And it's very, very close to the Thames River. It's within walking distance. The Port of London was very close, and so it was in a very convenient location. So you can see in 1688, very old construction, medieval construction, and today it's a very famous building. The exterior is stainless steel. It looks like an oil rig in the middle of the city. So we've covered it being a coffee house, but the thing about Lloyd's, the innovation that's in Lloyd's DNA, you've got everybody in close proximity. You've got the British Empire rising. You've got the Industrial Revolution rising. You've got manufacturers and merchants and new types of classes within the British system emerging. Lloyd's was there, grew with this system. Also, the laws started out with medieval laws, and Lloyd's grew as that happened. But back in the day, there weren't corporations the way we know them now. There were guys with money, and they would meet in this coffee house and do deals. And the basis of insurance started. Insurance wasn't invented in Lloyd's, but it certainly was propagated, and everything we know about insurance came from Lloyd's as we know it today. So risk transfer and risk management and innovation, reconnaissance in the industry, lots of things started happening during this period of time. And it was a booming period of time. And so from 1688 to now, Lloyd's has been on the forefront of innovation. Almost everything in terms of risk transfer, risk management, into doing the insurance that's innovative probably originated in Lloyd's. So DNA is innovation is in its DNA, and it's a global center for innovation. So this is the Lloyd's building. It was built in the mid 80s, and you can see this architecture clashes with absolutely every. St. Paul's Cathedral's just right down the road. The Bank of Lloyd's, it's right in the middle of the city. It clashes with everything. A lot of people compare it to an offshore platform being in this beautiful city, but the building itself speaks for the innovation, and very unique. Very, very unique, as is the business model and the platform that Lloyd's operates on. So Lloyd's is not an insurance company. That's the first thing that we need to establish in this conversation. And this conversation is not about insurance. It's about business models and it's about platforms. Lloyd's is the ultimate case study. They have been around for 333 years. You talk about resilience, talk about pivots. They, no corporation is perfect. They've had their existential moments. They've had to innovate. They've had to improvise. They've had to grow with the world. As the world has changed, Lloyd's has changed. So Lloyd's is not an insurance company. It's a marketplace. So if you go back to the coffee house, it started out as a place where people met to do deals. Okay. And so it's evolved into a corporation where people meet to do deals, and it also provides governance, management, rules. The membership of Lloyd's involves insurance companies and other sorts of financial capacity providers, and then insurance brokers, companies who buy insurance, a whole host of other parties on the other side of the spectrum, and then Lloyd's is in the middle as a marketplace. So Lloyd's is a marketplace. It provides structure, standards, governance, procedures, processes. It has most of the insurance contracts in the world originate in Lloyd's. Lloyd's has a large library of contract wordings, numerous other global resources that Lloyd's provides to the global insurance ecosystem. I'd also like to add that most global insurance companies, so pretty much any large insurance company that you can think of that's involved in construction, also has a syndicate in Lloyd's of London. So it's, all roads lead to Lloyd's. But once again, it's not an insurance company, it's a marketplace. So this quote is out there in the marketplace. We come together on projects as strangers, we leave as enemies. Okay. And that's the problem with the design and construction industry. And so the contribution that I want to make today is that I have seen this Lloyd's marketplace in action for over 35 years. I've been a Lloyd's cover holder on the underwriting side of the business. Very, very familiar with the marketplace. I'm also involved in construction, more specifically on the oil and gas and maritime side, the marine side, onshore and offshore assets. And I believe that the Lloyd's business model is applicable and offers a compelling case study for the design and construction industry. So we come together as strangers, we leave as enemies. That's not how that sort of business model is dysfunctional right out of the box. So you have a bunch of interests coming together to build a project. You've got owners, you've got designers, builders, all kinds of parties that come together for a project. Okay, it's every man for himself. Okay, there's no platform, there's no organization looking out for the collective interests of the project, right? There's no organization looking out for the collective interests of the parties involved. It's every man for himself. That's our construction marketplace right now. And the Lloyd's marketplace offers a place for for competitors, enemies to come together and have structure to collaborate on one deal. They may not like each other in other areas, but it may be profitable for them to come together and work together. And Lloyd's gives them that structure that allows trust, and trust is the foundation of any team. So real quickly, we're not going to get into this. Lloyd's structure, you can see members on the right side. That would be your capital providers. That would be like your owners. And there's all kinds of insurance-linked securities, all sorts of financial capital providers that can come in, including insurance companies, reinsurance companies, retrocession companies. On the right side, you have your policy holders, you have your insurance brokers, your cover holders, your service companies, and the business coming in. The Corporation of Lloyd's provides a place for deals to be done, where co-creation can take place, where a deal can be done. That's the point that I'm trying to make. So if we take if we take the design and construction industry and we take the project delivery team on the left side and the capital asset developers on the right side, it's very, very similar to the Lloyd's model. And then you take the market as a service model, okay, because we're talking about changing the business model. You take the market as a service model and put it in the middle, right? You suddenly get trust and alignment of interests. You with technology and other things, you can have significant reduction in costs and transactional waste. You've got market governance, rules, structure that people can trust to make sure that deals will get done properly, and a significant reduction in efficiencies and significant reduction in risk, especially using technology like smart contracts. So when we were working on this with OS2 and Prairie Dog, we took a bunch of information together and put it together, and the outcome was almost exactly as Lloyd's new blueprint. So in 2019, well, it started in 2018. Lloyd's was losing money. They were having problems. We have a whole new host of systemic risks due to global warming, social inflation on lawsuits. Lawsuits are going crazy. Lots of things going on in the industry that are causing underwriters to lose money. Also, China and Asia is becoming a huge competitive force in the global insurance industry. As a matter of fact, a Chinese insurance company now owns the building of Lloyd's. They're growing very, very fast. Lloyd's had to, in order to survive, Lloyd's was in an existential crisis. They had to redesign themselves once again. This is where the innovation and the resilience comes in, you know, for the Lloyd's model. So they came up with a new blueprint. And it was to address the unsustainable high costs, the market inefficiencies, and the poor financial performance. Sounds like the design and construction industry to me. And the solution was to take their unique market model, their market business model, and to pair it with technology to create the most advanced insurance platform in the world. You know, to add to the global insurance ecosystem. So they had the center of, you know, they interviewed lots of clients, and what they came up with was they needed the platform needed to revolve around innovation and inclusion. Okay, they needed to create better solutions, they needed to optimize value delivery, and they needed to significantly reduce costs, and they used technology to do this. So they started this in 2019. 2020, COVID hit, which was another round of unexpected losses that, and Lloyd's invented pandemic insurance, and there were pandemic losses paid. Wimbledon, the Wimbledon cancellation is a famous pandemic loss that was paid. They created this blueprint prior to COVID. They came out with Blueprint 2 after COVID, but in terms of transformation, innovation, and resilience, in 2019 they were losing $1 billion. Right now they're about $1 billion ahead in profit. So they pivoted, they transformed, they innovated, and they became they overcame their problems. And that's the type of platform and technical innovation that we're talking about here. So we're not going to talk about Lloyd's anymore. We're going to talk about building a fortress. We're going to talk about a project coming together with a community of interests, owners, builders, architects, contractors, subcontractors, the entire group. You know, it could be 1,000 different parties. And instead of everybody working together, right, the purpose of the platform is to get everybody's interests aligned and everybody work together, and we build a fortress around the project to preserve the profitability, to keep the budgets, to keep the timelines, and it's not every man working for himself. It's every man working in unison with a platform to help protect them. So we hear two common quotes in the industry, and I had a whole bunch of quotes, and we got rid of them because everybody knows that there's problems with the design and construction industry. But there's two themes. One is that the model's broken, and the other is the house is on fire. You know, the house on fire, I don't buy. However, the ecosystem of a house, right, is an interesting analogy to look at. So when you look at the ecosystem of a house, you can get termites, you can get all kinds of pests come in, and if you start taking these pests and applying it to a construction project, if you take the contracts and compared to the snakes, you take corruption and bribery and fraud and compare those with rats and other mice and other rodents, and you know, all of the finance fees that are incurred, that unnecessarily incurred, and all the additional costs, you know, that's almost like, it's almost like termites tearing apart the infrastructure of a project. So I don't think the industry's house is on fire. We look at these performance statistics. We're not going to go into this, but clearly it's not sustainable. You know, 41% of the project capital is lost through transactional waste. You know, budgets go over. Failure to meet objectives are a big problem, and cost overruns are clearly a problem. So we're not going to go into that. It's not an issue. The issue is that the house is not on fire. Okay. The issue, we don't need a fire truck to solve our problem. The problem's the business model. The problem is the industry is infested with unwanted guests and pests. Okay. We don't need the fire department. We need Orkin, right? We need pest control. We need the Orkin team. And that's, I'm going to compare, you know, so Orkin is going to help with in eliminate these pests. So I'm not kidding. You go to Orkin and you look at their slide, and I'm made up this Orkin Risk Management 101. However, I have over 35 years of risk management training, and they've got some good stuff here. So, you know, first of all, you make the home unattractive, right? You do everything you can to make it unattractive to rodents and pests. Number two, you put up barriers to prevent entry. Number three, you don't do anything to feed the problems. Okay. And then you investigate, you protect, you manage, you monitor. You know, it sounds like an enterprise risk management system to me. So you know, using Orkin as a analogy, right? The industry needs pest control, right? We need to clean our house. I'm involved in a project which involves OS2 and Prairie Dog. Here are two websites. I highly recommend you visit them. And if anything we're discussing in this project in this presentation today is interesting in terms of the business model, we're working on trying to apply what I'm discussing today to the design and construction industry on their platform. What we're talking about is this fortress, right? We're talking about a guardian of capital project delivery, okay? We're talking about a fiduciary-based market platform, right? With market governance, with compliance, right? Somebody looking out for the collective interest of the community that's involved in the project, and somebody looking out for the project itself, right? Just making sure that everything is you know, everybody interests are aligned. So speaking of interest, alignment of interests, we're not going to go into the, you know, there's a lot of technology that we can discuss. We're not going to do that, but transactional certainty, transparency, one singular truth, consensus, accountability, responsibility, all of these things that are on this list create trust. And the platform and the various technologies that are used on this platform, such as blockchain and smart contracts, creates trust in such a way that trust isn't on the table. In the insurance industry, trust isn't something we talk about because the law's on our side, right? Our industry is based on utmost good faith. The construction industry is based on let the buyer beware, two different legal maxims. So, so there's no team without trust. You've got to have an alignment of interests, and the platform model, platform market model helps align interests. So technology is the driver that enables this business model, right? And as technology drives up efficiency, there's one school of thought. It can be argued, but for the purpose of this presentation, the higher the efficiency, the lower the risk. Okay, I think that's applicable to the construction industry. Okay, as your efficiency goes up, your risk goes down. Okay, operational and financial risk. Okay, as your risk goes down, certainty goes up. When your certainty goes up, that does a lot of things. Okay, that does a lot of things. That changes the discussion with your lenders. It's a whole new conversation. It also changes your discussion with your insurers because your risk profile has changed completely. It changes everything. So as your certainty goes up, your costs are going to drop, which is going to increase your profitability. So blockchain and smart contracts are the two technologies that help drive this. And we're not going to get into the details of those technologies, but the smart contracts make invoices irrelevant. The velocity of the velocity of trust is increased. The velocity of cash flow is increased, and there's a lot of harmony and a lot of good things that happen on the platform using this technology. Everybody becomes focused on getting the job done, right? And the collective interest is on getting the job done as quickly and as cheaply and as safely as possible. Everybody's interests are aligned in that they make more money, right? That way, everybody's interests are aligned in that way. So there's two. So we're talking about, for the design and construction industry, changing the model and using a market platform model, right? A market as a service type model as an option for of course you want to try going to the marketplace and get the best deal for whatever project you're doing. But this is an option, and it has a compelling case study that warrants observation. So there's two things that need to change for this to work. Number one, the platform itself, the marketplace, has to have a fiduciary duty to the community that it serves. So that's a different thing. Most platforms that exist, probably all in the construction industry that exist, the fiduciary duty of that platform is to the shareholders of the company to maximize profits. Okay, we're talking about the fiduciary duty of this platform, the management of this platform, is to the collective interests of the design and construction community, okay, and to the project. So it's putting the interests of the community and the project first. That'll be the foundation of trust for this marketplace model. The second is, and this is critical, the contracts in the design and construction industry are crazy. Okay, and the reason we have the contractual relationships the way we do is because of the legal maxim that underpins the contracts. So real quickly, fiduciary duty is it's a well-established body of law. Okay, and it's in a nutshell, it's putting your principal's interest ahead of your own, right? Doing the best thing and the right thing for your customer. And that is the community membership of the design and construction community and for the individual projects. So let's say somebody on the platform is harming the community, then it is the duty of the platform to remove that member, just like Lloyds of London will remove a syndicate, an underperforming syndicate. They did, especially in 2018, when they went through this crisis, they removed syndicates. Not only that, I mean, to be part of the membership, it's exclusive. It means something. You have to. It's not handed to you. So it's something that you have to earn. It applies also to individuals. So if you have an individual that works for a good company in the community, But you have one individual who's disrupting or whose code of conduct is clearly outside the guidelines of what we're trying to accomplish. The marketplace, the market itself has the duty to remove that person from the project also, in the best interest of the community and of the project. So that's fiduciary duty, putting the design and construction community first, putting the projects first. That is a pivotal foundation of trust that needs to exist. The next thing that we're going to talk about then is the two legal maxims that exist in our society. Okay. And design construction industry and the rest of the retail and commercial world operate under the legal maxim caveat emptor, which means let the buyer beware. Okay. And what that means is that the owner, the burden of due diligence is put on the owner, and you've got to have all these layer and layer and layer of contracts and warranties and all of these things happen, which make contracts very, very cumbersome and greatly slows down the process, and it builds distrust because the concept, the legal maxim of caveat emptor is based on distrust. Okay. And the idea here is to change that into what we work in the insurance industry, which is uberma fides, the Latin word, which means utmost good faith. Okay. So our deals in the insurance industry are based on utmost good faith, and the laws protect the underwriters, and the underwriters have very few defenses, and they have a hard time winning things in court unless somebody misrepresented, lied, omitted. If you smoke 5 packs of cigarettes a day and you come down with cancer, and you've tried to file a claim and you try to sue for recovery, you're going to lose. The laws are in the favor of the insurance company, and so it changes everything. We do business based on trust. The representations made to us when we do a deal, the deal is contingent and based on those representations. And with that, it removes all the burdens that we have of all the warranties and all the things that have to take place contractually. If the contracts in the design and construction industry, and you're not going to, this isn't going to happen worldwide or anything like that, but if you have a community and you have a group of like-minded companies come together and say, we want to save money, we want to get rid of transactional waste, we want to work together, we want to collaborate, and we all agree that the legal maxim underpinning our contracts is uberma fides, then that's all that has to happen for this change that happens. And then when you're dealing with smart contracts, I want to make one more point, and we'll go to the next slide. When you're dealing with smart contracts, coding those contracts from natural language into machine languages can be quite cumbersome. There was an offshore contract that was several hundred pages long, and the process of coding that contract took a long time, and that contract evolved over years with cut and paste, and lots of things evolved with that standard wording. And when they coded it, it was kind of humiliating for the lawyers, because massive conflicts and contradictions were exposed in logic. Just pure logical mistakes and contradictions in the contract existed, and the coding of the contract into machine language helped solve all those problems. So when you code a contract from natural language to machine language, that could be a good risk management for anybody who want to see how watertight their contract is, because the coding process can really be a humbling experience. When we're working under utmost good faith, it makes the coding of that smart contract much easier also. So that change would be critical. So there's, the 3 things that we're talking about to change the business model in the design and construction industry are: go to a market as a service model, number 1. Number 2, use technology to 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 have all these efficiencies that can be had, and we don't have the time to even scratch what the technology can do to reduce costs and increase efficiencies, and also have the fiduciary duty placed onto the market as a service platform, and have the contracts based on utmost good faith. I think that's a game changer for the design and construction community. And so how this would work, that our vision, and once again, this is the Prairie Dog OS2 model. We have organizational participants come in, we have individuals come in, there's a verification process. We underwrite, we don't let, I mean, we literally do, we vet and check the backgrounds of everybody coming in. There's an underwriting process for people to get into the community. We want to make sure that it's a like-minded group and we don't have any trouble causers involved. Then you join the community on the basis of utmost good faith. You agree that your contracts will be based on the utmost of good faith. Then you belong to this community of like-minded companies. You have owners, you have designers, you have architects, engineers, the whole spectrum of services that come together to build something. It becomes a community. Then you have neighborhoods within that community come together. A neighborhood would be a building project. A neighborhood decides to build something, right? And they pull together the A team, the optimum players that would be best suited for that. And it doesn't have to be just one project. It could be a number of projects that the community comes together and forms a neighborhood that will have multiple projects involved. So that's the concept. That's what we're working on. And I sincerely appreciate your time today to express my ideas. And I do believe that the Lloyd's model is a relevant case study and is compelling to the design and construction industry. Thank you.
Pascal, that was amazing. So really interesting. We have a question from Dean Reed. So I'm going to unmic him and let him ask that question of you. Here you go.
All right. Hi, Pascal.
Hi, Dean.
Should asset developers or owners create marketplaces? Is that what you're recommending? In other words, you just showed that last slide. There's this community. There's these neighborhoods within the community. I get that analogy, and it would seem like you know, the asset developer should just go out and, you know, or join join the OS2 or on their own somehow work with you to create this marketplace and that looks like a neighborhood. Is that?
That's exactly that's exactly it. And you know, the construction industry is huge and involves many different things. So we would expect a lot of different markets evolve, right, for different spectrums of the industry, and you know, like-minded owners come together and create their own marketplace. And these are the these are the concepts at Lloyd's that's proven, right, in Lloyd's, that anybody who wants to create a marketplace could use, and they've proven themselves over hundreds of years to work.
So I have another question for you, Pascal, which is, how would this actually begin? So I know that OS is building this community, but how do you find the sort of the first person or the first client who convenes this group and actually makes it happen? Have you thought a little bit about like how it actually begins?
You know, I got to tell you, when I started this journey, I thought I was the only one in the world who thought the business model was broken, right? And then I found out it's like everybody knows that. It's nothing good. So this group, right? This group that we're talking to right now has a lot of, clearly it's based on innovation. So there's a lot of like-minded people. They could form their own marketplace. I was introduced to the Prairie Dog Group and OS2 early, right in the very beginning, and also some other groups in the construction space, ABC Collaborative and some other groups that I'm working with exactly what we're talking about. So it starts by people having a conversation like we're having today and deciding to do something about it. In the case of OS2 and Prairie Dog, we're a year ahead of the game. We've had lots of lively conversations, and we're getting started. We're actually starting on a project, a data center, as a test project for this model. Mm-hmm. So that's how it comes together. It starts with a conversation, and like-minded people come together and do something, actually decide to do something.
Mm-hmm. And so once the community comes together and says, here's our group of people, they develop a sort of contract that holds people responsible, or how?
Okay, that's a, I wasn't going to get into the weeds, but thank you for asking that question, because it's super relevant. First of all, there is a code of conduct that exists for the community. The community agrees to a code of conduct. Okay, and so Lloyd's is governed by the FCA. I come under the FCA regulations, which are much tighter than anything we have in the United States, and they have a code of conduct. Okay, and the basis of that code of conduct is integrity. You could take the word integrity and get rid of the rest, right? If you just follow that one word. So you start with the code of conduct. Okay, you have behaviors that are just not allowed, right? And you can be removed. That needs to exist. The membership needs to be exclusive. There needs to be a code of conduct that everybody agrees to, right? And that everybody is educated on and everybody understands. So yes, there's a code of conduct. There are behaviors that are expected. This is and this would clearly have to start at the C-suite. It has to start at the top. It's a culture change. But if you take a look at the examples in IPD and other groups, Kevin Sell have project, lots of examples where people have come together to do something more efficient and work together. And the statistics coming out of, there's a case study being done right now. The statistics are absolutely incredible. So there's no doubt, if we had a market to look out for the collective interests, right? Especially this conversation is especially more relevant now because of the technology, because 20 years ago, that market would have been some guys regulating, right? I can't see that flying, and not with the group of people we're working with in our business, right? But now we have technology, and that technology and interoperability and everything. The minute a project comes onto the platform, right? It's digitally, it's in the digital world. It's on the its transformation is complete, right? And then the individual companies don't have to invest in that technology, because the cost of that technology is spread over the platform. Okay, and everybody is working with the same information, and it's what the efficiencies go through the roof. So the efficiencies gained by the technology, and you can only do this on a platform because because you have a collective interest. And if you let a company do it that doesn't have fiduciary duty, their job is to make as much money as they can off of the participants, right? It's a parasite. If you look at the ecosystem, they're a parasite. And so it has to be a fiduciary-based marketplace. And the technology that we have today now makes this a super relevant conversation, and it is compelling, right? Because we know for a fact the contract certainty, the contractual risk, all of these things, and the operational risk can be reduced to such a point that it'll pay for itself and help reduce costs overall. So we know that.
What do you see as the biggest obstacles towards implementation at this moment?
Say that one more time. I didn't hear you.
What do you see as the biggest obstacles to implementation right now of the system?
You got a lot of people, probably the majority of people are lining up to be number two, right? They want somebody to, they want to see somebody do it. So we're actually put our money where our mouth is. We're actually doing it to show that it can work. Um, so early adopters are rare, right? Those people that have that vision. This isn't so, the money part, you're going to, how much is it going to cost? Well, that kind of is diluted. That argument's diluted when you have a platform, because the costs are spread out all over, and it's a completely different argument. But I think the cost, I think technology, and I think just something new. That's a barrier to a lot of people's minds, and a lot of people, just want to continue business as usual. Problem is, like there's so much good news for the construction industry, especially on the energy side, with all this energy, trillions of dollars of investment coming in for infrastructure, and then on the commercial construction side. And so on the oil and gas side, we have these booms and we have these busts, and they always pray, oh God, give us one more boom and we won't screw it up this time, right? Well, that's what I see for the construction industry, right? Let's not screw it up. Let's get it right. There's a lot of business out there. Costs has to come down. Efficiencies have to go up, right? And we have to get rid of the corruption and all the other stuff. There's got to be some governance. So,
CIDCI was formed in the San Francisco Bay Area. So there's a lot of people who, fancy themselves as great innovators. We're also an extremely regulated state with, we love our laws in California, and we love lots of them. And so, I know you're based in Texas, and I think that's where Prairie Dog really had its beginnings. And it's, I think Texas is a little more free range than California in terms of its openness and to, not being overregulated. So I'm just wondering if you could talk a little bit about the role of regulators in a non-governmental project. Like, what would, I just imagine there would be a lot of regulations in California that would happen. So could you talk all about government as sort of like the third stool, or the third, like the fifth leg of the stool, or something like that?
Yeah.
And how that would fit within this model.
Okay. So in terms of the regulatory laws and bodies, okay, and so what we're doing is global. So we have a lot tougher law. So California and EU have very tough information disclosure, right? So so the platform makes sure, right, that the project and all of the members are in compliance. That's one of the things. And then we have ESG is a huge thing, right? And so there's a lot of reporting, and make sure that down to even the ships that ship the building products, do they have IMO certified fuel, right? There's a lot of reporting that's, so ESG there's no standards. It hadn't settled down, but if it becomes what people are talking about, it's going to be a huge regulatory burden, and the platform is a perfect place to manage that, right? So the platform itself would make sure that the project is in is in compliance with the laws and regulations, right? But it's not the platform's duty to create new laws, right? It's the platform's duty to, right? So we would prefer for the lawyers to get out of the contracts and focus on the regulators, and get the regulators out of our business, right? And let the contracts and the business flow, right? So it's the duty of the platform to make sure that there's optimum opportunity to maximize profit. It's just all about maximizing profit, right? So and if I could say real quick about Texas and platforms and innovation, Tesla is going to be, and this has to do with regulation, because insurance is highly regulated all over the world. Texas is one of the better places to do business in the insurance world. Tesla is going to be packaging insurance with his cars next month. Okay, he has his business model blows the auto insurance industry out of the water. Okay, it is so funny. They can't compete. They don't know how to act. He is so efficient, and he knows more about his customers than the insurance industry will ever know, right? And this platform, and we didn't have a chance to talk about technology, but the technology involved in this platform does the exact same thing Tesla's doing to the auto insurance industry, but it does it to the global construction industry because it changes everything, right? If everything is digital and you have your hand on the pulse and you have a real time, right, assessment of a project that's going on, that's game changer. That's a new thing for the industry. So
Well,
I'm clearly very excited about these.
We love that. We love that. I see we have a question here from Kareem Tahawi, and Kareem, I'm going to unmute you so you can ask your question.
Hi there. Thank you so much for the really interesting conversation. It totally makes sense that the blockchain can sort of hard code language and regulations and enforce it. My question is around sort of you kind of started to talk about it a little bit, financial incentives, like what needs to happen financially to incentivize sort of participation. I mean, I find that a lot of people sort of, you know, they kind of want to know what's in it for them today, right now, and having, you know, rather than sort of investing in the future and trying to sort of understand like sort of the long-term values. So I'm curious if you guys have thought about incentives, how to roll out incentives.
There's so we have a large membership in the community that we have right now, and the incentives there's too many of them to discuss here. One of them right out of the box, that probably what you're driving at, is the contractors. You know, the whole thing of contractors having to finance a project and then get paid later, and there's contractual problems, and it takes 3 years for them to get paid, and all that goes out the window. Using smart contracts, the velocity of cash flow increases significantly, and the contractor will be paid for his work at benchmarks that are set, right, in the contract. So that's one thing right out of the box, is that contractors will be paid quicker, and they'll have much more certainty of being paid because it's all spelled out. You do this, you get paid then, right? It's very, very clear. So that's the big one, is the incentive to in being paid quicker, and the certainty that you will be paid.
Okay. I mean, it feels like there's still some, so I'm actually working on this particular problem as well. It seems like there's still some value chain coordination that has to happen to kickstart that.
So yeah, we don't have enough time to, we'd have to really get into the details to answer your question, but there are a lot of incentives to be part of a market collective like this.
Right.
And the biggest incentive is more money, right? That's the biggest one.
Awesome. Thank you.
Great. Well, we're pushing up till 9 o'clock, and one of our commitments to our team is that we, at 9 o'clock in California, that we really finish up on time. So Pascal, I thank you so much. I've learned so much, a little bit more about insurance than I had thought I would learn today.
Sorry about
I have
that.
to tell you, honestly, but it's such a fascinating idea. And the idea of creating new marketplaces and new platforms is something we're so curious about, how you begin that first step. And I think you've done a really terrific job at explaining a new model. So on behalf of the CIDCI Board of Directors, I'd really like to thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Do you have any last words you'd like to share with us about how to get this started?
It's such an honor to be here, and thank you for allowing me to share these ideas. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's been really great. Okay, this concludes CIDCI's online salon. The session will be recorded and placed on the CIDCI website as soon as possible. To join us for future webinars, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter on our website, cidci.org. Be sure to join us October 4 to 8 for the CIDCI Fall Forum, Inspiring Innovation in a Re-Emerging World. Special thanks to Katie Olson for keeping us on track, doing everything, all that magic behind the scenes, and all of our sponsors who make this possible. Thanks for joining us. And as always, if you've got thoughts or comments, please reach out to us via the CIDCI's Contact Us link on the website. Thank you again, Pascal. Thank you.